I am a 19-year-old girl studying geology at university. I have a boyfriend who is 6 years older than me. I don't like to socialize with classmates of my age. They seem boring and uninteresting to me. I prefer to make friends with older people, as they seem more interesting to me. During breaks, I prefer to chat with professors rather than engage in trivial conversations with my peers. I like school a lot. I was an excellent student, and now I continue to excel in my studies. Unfortunately, this sometimes makes me unpopular with those around me. Tonight I had to stay late after class to help one of my teachers with a research paper. I called my boyfriend Daniel and asked him to pick me up from the university a few hours later than usual. He didn't mind. Daniel supports me in everything, and I am incredibly grateful to him for that. I sat in the professor's office with my laptop and typed the text of the paper line by line. The professor was a young, handsome man of about 35, with curly dark hair, light stubble, and sharp cheekbones. After an hour of work, he sighed, leaning back in his chair. "I think I need a break," he said, rubbing his eyes. The professor stood up and walked over to the coffee maker. "With or without sugar?" he asked me. "No thanks, I won't," I replied as I continued reading my book. He pressed the button and the coffee maker whirred loudly in the quiet room. He smiled and set the cup next to me. I took a sip of the fresh coffee, still immersed in my book. I could feel his gaze on me as he sipped his drink. Suddenly, I slammed the book shut and set it aside. An awkward silence ensued. "Let's get on with it," I suggested. I sat next to him, wearing an above-the-knee dress, crossing one leg over the other. "Let's tell a little about ourselves," he suggested with a smile. Surprised by such a request, but figuring he just wanted to relax, I told him about my studies and hobbies. "Are you married?" he asked with a smirk. "No, but I'm in a relationship," I replied, noticing his wedding ring. He followed my gaze and quickly slipped his hand into his pocket. "Do you like me?" he asked, scooting closer. "I never really thought about it," I replied. Yes, he was attractive, but I was in a serious relationship and he was married. I remained silent and tried to make my way to the door. He got up from his chair, blocking my path, and put his arm around my shoulders. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "I won't do anything wrong." After saying those words, he leaned down and kissed me. It was like an electric shock that sent goosebumps running all over my body. He obviously knew how to convince me. He picked me up by the waist and pulled me into his lap. I hurriedly buttoned up my shirt, trying to gather my thoughts. My boyfriend, Daniel, who had already arrived to take me home, called for the 5th time. Quickly grabbing my bag, I hurried out of the office. I ran out of the office with my heart pounding. Daniel was standing waiting by his car, worry written all over his face. "Sorry I'm late," I stammered as I climbed in. He smiled encouragingly, but didn't ask for details. The ride home was silent, guilt and confusion raging in my head. Back at the dormitory, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the professor's intense gaze and felt his kiss. What on earth had happened? It was wrong, so wrong. I loved Daniel. He was kind, he supported me, he was everything I needed. But today, something inside me trembled. The next day, I avoided class with the professor by texting him about not feeling well. Daniel texted back, asking if I wanted to grab coffee later. I agreed, needing his comfort. When we met, he hugged me tightly, sensing my anxiety. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. "I'm fine," I lied, forcing myself to smile. We talked about our plans for the weekend, but my thoughts kept returning to the office. That night I decided to talk to the professor. I couldn't let it drag on. When I walked into his office, he looked surprised. "We need to talk," I said firmly. "What happened yesterday can't happen again." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry, Emily. I was out of line." His apology seemed hollow. "It's over," I stated, getting ready to leave. I won't be coming here anymore. As I walked away, I felt a sense of relief in my heart. I had made the right choice. Daniel noticed the change in me right away. "You look lighter today," he remarked when we studied together later. I smiled genuinely, for the first time in days. I admitted. I've put it all behind me. Since then, I'd focused on my studies and my relationship. Daniel and I had grown closer, planning our future together. The incident became a distant memory and a lesson learned. I realized that true happiness is being with a man who respects boundaries and appreciates me for who I am. Life moved forward, filled with new opportunities and dreams.